They told me I was wasting my life on that laptop while my brother smashed it against the dining room table. Dad actually laughed. Mom covered her mouth but said nothing. Then the screen flickered one last time, and they saw the email subject line glowing through the cracked glass. $2.3 million. Silicon Valley's third-largest venture capital firm. And my name is sole proprietor? The laughter died so fast I could hear the wine still dripping from the tablecloth. My name is Adrian. I'm 28 years old. And for most of my life, I've been the son my family pretends to love but actually forgets. You know that feeling when you walk into a room and the conversation doesn't pause because nobody noticed you arrived? That was my childhood. Every birthday, every holiday, every single family dinner. I wasn't mistreated exactly. I was just invisible, the reliable one, the quiet one, the one who didn't need attention because I never asked for it. My brother Kyle is 2 years younger than me, but you'd never know I was the eldest. He's loud, charismatic, the kind of guy who walks into a room and owns it. Played varsity football. Dated the homecoming queen. Got a business degree from a state school that Dad still brags about at the country club, even though Kyle barely graduated with a 2.1 GPA. Me? I went to community college. Studied computer science in a cramped apartment while working overnight shifts at a data entry firm. No fanfare. No graduation party. Mom asked if I even wanted one, but her tone made it clear the answer she preferred. I said no. She looked relieved. I learned to code when I was 14, not because anyone encouraged me, because I needed something that was mine, something I could control in a house where I controlled nothing. By 16, I was building apps. By 20, I was freelancing for startups. By 25, I'd saved enough to launch my own software company. A small one. Just me and 2 contract developers. We built custom automation tools for mid-sized businesses. Boring stuff. Invisible stuff. Just like me. But boring pays. And invisible compounds. I never told my family the details. Why would I? Every time I mentioned my work, Dad's eyes glazed over. Kyle would make some joke about me being a computer nerd. Mom would change the subject to Kyle's latest sales job. Or his new girlfriend. Or the time he almost got promoted. Almost. That word followed Kyle everywhere. But they treated him like he'd already conquered the world. I stopped trying to be seen. I just worked. The Sunday dinners were a tradition Mom insisted on. Every single week. Pot roast or chicken. Overcooked vegetables. Wine for the adults. And 2 hours of me sitting at the edge of the table while they orbited around Kyle. That particular Sunday started like all the others. I arrived on time. They were already eating. Dad didn't look up. Mom said hello but didn't ask about my week. Kyle was in the middle of some story about a client he'd almost closed. Almost. I sat down. Pulled out my laptop. I had an email I'd been waiting for. The kind of email that changes everything. Dad's fork clinked against his plate. That sharp sound. Adrian, we're eating. I glanced up. I know. I just need to check something quick. It's important. Kyle snorted. What's so important? Your little website project? My little website project. He'd called it that for 3 years. My company. My clients. My revenue. All of it reduced to a dismissive phrase he didn't even bother to understand. It's work, I said quietly. I always said everything quietly. Work. Dad shook his head. You know, when I was your age, I worked construction. Real work, with my hands. Not staring at a screen all day pretending to be busy. I'd heard this speech before. So many times I could mouth along. Real work. His generation. Bootstraps. Discipline. Meanwhile, he'd retired at 55 on a pension and investments, and I'd been financially independent since 22. But sure, I didn't know real work. I didn't argue. I just turned back to my laptop. The email was loading, slowly. My internet connection at their house was always terrible. I watched the progress bar inch forward. 80%, 90. Dad, you seeing this? Kyle's voice had that edge. that playful cruelty he'd perfected in high school. He's literally ignoring you. I'm not ignoring anyone. I'm waiting for an... Put it away, Adrian. Dad's voice wasn't loud. It was flat. The tone he used when he'd made a decision and expected obedience. My jaw tightened. 2 minutes. That's all I need. Kyle leaned back in his chair, grinned. What, you gonna miss a message from your online girlfriend or something? Mom laughed. A little titter. She actually laughed. Something in my chest cracked. Not broke, just cracked. Like the first fracture in a frozen lake. It's a work email, I said. My voice was still quiet. But there was something underneath now. Something I'd been pressing down for years. Kyle stood up. Walked around the table. I should have closed the laptop. I should have seen it coming. But I'd spent so long being invisible that I forgot invisible people could still be targets. He grabbed the laptop. I grabbed it back. For 1 second, we were both holding it. His face was amused. Mine wasn't. Kyle, let go. Make me, little brother. I'm older than you. Could have fooled me. He yanked. Hard. My fingers slipped. And then he lifted it. Above his head. Like a trophy. Like a joke. Kyle. My voice cracked. I hated that. That's not funny. Give it back. Dad was watching. Just watching. Arms crossed. Like this was a lesson I needed to learn. Say please, Kyle said. I stood up. My hands were shaking. Give it back. Ooh, he's mad. Kyle looked at Dad. He's actually mad. And then he spiked it. Like a football. Right into the table. The sound was horrible. Plastic cracking. Glass shattering. The whole table shook. Wine glasses tipped. Red liquid spread across the white tablecloth like blood. My laptop lay in the center. Screen down. The back casing split open. I could see the internal components. The motherboard. The battery. 3 years of my life in that machine. Contracts, client data, prototypes, and the email. The one I'd been waiting 6 months for. Dad laughed. He actually laughed. A short bark of amusement. Well, maybe now you'll pay attention at dinner. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. I just stared at the wreckage. Kyle sat back down. Picked up his fork. Relax, man. It's just a computer. I'll buy you a new one. He wouldn't. We both knew that. He'd never bought me anything in his life. Mom reached for her napkin. Started dabbing at the wine. Adrian, honey, you really shouldn't bring work to family dinners. You know how your father feels. That's when I saw it. The screen. It had flickered just once. The impact must have jostled something loose. And for 5 seconds, the display lit up, cracked, fragmented, but visible. The email subject line. Term sheet approval, Sequoia interest. Authorized funding $2. 3M. White text. Black background. Right there. In the center of the table. Reflected in Dad's wine glass. His smile faded. I watched it happen. Watched his eyes focus. Watched him lean forward. What? He squinted. What does that say? Kyle looked. Mom looked. I didn't move. The screen died, completely. Just black glass and cracks. The silence was different now, heavier. Adrian. Dad's voice had changed. What was that? I picked up the laptop. Carefully. Like a broken bird. Pieces of plastic fell onto the table. The hinge was completely destroyed. That, I said quietly, was the email I was waiting for. What email? Mom's voice was small. I looked at her. Really looked at her. When was the last time she'd asked me a question? A real one? Sequoia Capital is one of the largest venture capital firms in the country, I said. My voice was still shaking. But not from fear. From something else. Something colder. They've been reviewing my company for 6 months. Due diligence, financials, product demos. They made an offer 3 weeks ago. I negotiated. That email was the final term sheet. $2.3 million in Series A funding. For my little website project, you could have heard a pin drop. You could have heard a heartbeat. Kyle's fork was frozen halfway to his mouth. Dad's face had gone pale. Mom was just staring at me like I'd started speaking another language. That laptop, I continued, had every contract, every password, every encrypted file for the deal. The signing deadline is tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time. If I miss it, the offer expires. Dad opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. 2 million? 2.3 million, I corrected, for a 30% equity stake. Valuing my company at $7.6 million, I set the destroyed laptop down, gently, right in the center of the table. Where the pot roast used to be, I have backups, I said. Cloud storage, external drives. I'm not stupid. But this? I gestured at the wreckage. This was custom hardware. Encrypted partitions, biometric locks. It'll take me hours to restore everything to a new machine. Hours I was going to spend with my family. Kyle had gone very quiet. His face was red. Not from anger. From shame. I'd never seen that expression on him before. I walked to the coat rack. Picked up my jacket. Adrian. Dad stood up. Wait, I didn't. We didn't know. No, I agreed. You didn't. You never asked. If you'd just told us, I turned. And for the first time in my entire life, I let them see it. The anger, the exhaustion, the years of being invisible. I tried, I said. For 28 years, I tried. Every achievement, every milestone, every time I wanted you to be proud of me, and every single time you looked right through me. Mom's eyes were wet. That's not fair. Fair? The word tasted bitter. Kyle's been at his sales job for 4 months. 4. You threw him a party. You bought him a watch. I built a company from nothing. Employed 6 people. Generated over $1 million in revenue last year alone. And you don't even know what I do. Dad's hands were up, placating. Adrian, son, let's just sit down and don't. My voice cracked. Don't call me son like it means something now. Not when there's money attached. Not when you're finally impressed. I opened the door. Cold air rushed in. October, almost dark. Where are you going? Mom asked. To fix this, I said. Because that's what I do. I fix things, quietly, without help. Because I learned a long time ago that nobody's coming to save me. I left. The door clicked shut behind me. I heard voices inside, raised, arguing. I didn't care. I went home. My apartment, small, clean, minimal. I had 3 backup laptops. Of course I did. I wasn't lying about the backups. But restoring the encrypted partitions would take time. And I needed every file, every signature, every authentication token. I worked through the night. The anger kept me focused, sharp. By 4 a.m., I had everything. By 6, I'd reviewed the entire term sheet. By 8, I was on a video call with Sequoia's legal team. West Coast time. They were drinking coffee. I was drinking my 4th Red Bull. We signed at 8:45. 15 minutes before the deadline. $2.3 million. Wired to my business account in 3 installments. The first one hit at 9:30. $750,000. I watched the notification pop up on my phone. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt tired. My phone rang all day. Dad called 6 times. Mom called 4. Kyle texted. A paragraph. Then another. Apologies. Justifications. Explanations. I didn't answer. Didn't read them. 3 days later, Dad showed up at my office. My actual office. I'd signed a lease for real space 2 months earlier. 4 rooms. A conference area. Windows that overlook the city. He stood in the doorway looking small. That's what got me. He looked small. Adrian, he said, please just talk to me. I didn't invite him in, but I didn't close the door. I'm sorry, he said. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. I should have paid attention. Should have asked. You should have cared. I corrected. Asking is the bare minimum. His face crumpled. I do care. You're my son. Am I? I leaned against the doorframe. Because for 28 years you had one son, Kyle, the golden child. The athlete. The charmer. I was just there. A backup. The responsible one who didn't need anything. That's not true, isn't it? I pulled out my phone, opened the photo app, scrolled back. Here's Kyle's graduation party. 40 people. Catered food. Here's his 21st birthday. Rented a whole bar. Here's the dinner you threw when he got his sales job. I kept scrolling. You know what's not in here? Any celebration for me. Because there weren't any. Dad's eyes were red. We thought, you didn't want that. You were always so independent. I was independent because I had to be, I said quietly. Because every time I needed you, you were busy with Kyle. So I stopped needing you. The silence stretched. Down the hall, I could hear my developers talking, laughing, building something together. What do you want me to say? Dad whispered. Nothing, I said. I don't want words. I wanted a father. Past tense. I closed the door, gently. He stood there for a minute. I heard his footsteps, slow, fading. Mom tried next. Showed up at my apartment with a casserole. Like food could fix it? I let her in because I'm not cruel. She cried, apologized, said she didn't realize. I believed her. That was the worst part. She genuinely didn't realize. Because I'd been invisible for so long that my absence felt normal. Kyle was last. He caught me at a coffee shop. Sat down across from me without asking. I'm a piece of shit, he said. I looked up from my laptop. My new one. Top of the line. Yeah, I agreed. He flinched. I deserve that. You deserve worse. He nodded, stared at his hands. I don't know why I did it. The laptop. You were ignoring Dad and I thought it'd be funny. I didn't think. You never do, I said. That's your brand. Impulsive, charming, thoughtless. And everyone forgives you because that's just Kyle. I know. His voice was small. I know I'm the fuck up. And you're the successful one. You always were. And I think I hated that. Because you made it look easy. I almost laughed. Easy? You never struggled. Never complained. Just did it. I struggled every day, I said. You just never noticed. None of you did. He looked up. His eyes were wet. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything. But I am. I closed my laptop. You broke something that can't be fixed. Not the laptop. Us. Whatever we were. Brothers. Family. You broke that. Can I try? He asked. To fix it? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know. Maybe, but not now. Not because you're scared of who I became. Not because there's money involved. If you want to be my brother, you'll have to prove it. Over years. Not days. He nodded. Stood up. Hesitated. For what it's worth? I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago. Yeah, I said. You should have. He left. I went back to work. The Sequoia funding changed everything. We scaled, hired 12 more people, landed contracts with Fortune 500 companies. By the end of the year, we were projecting $8 million in revenue. I got written up in TechCrunch, Forbes, my face on the cover of a regional business magazine. Dad kept that magazine. Mom told me, put it on the mantle, right next to Kyle's football trophy. I didn't go back for Sunday dinners. They asked. Every week. I said no. Every week. Not out of spite, out of self-preservation. I'd built a life without them. A good one. Full of people who saw me, valued me, chose me. Eventually we found a rhythm. Holidays, birthdays, neutral territory, restaurants, public spaces. Conversations stayed surface level. Safe. They asked about work now. I answered. Briefly. They tried to celebrate me. I let them, sort of, but the distance remained. A scar that never fully healed. Kyle did try. I'll give him that. Sent articles he thought I'd like. Showed up to a product launch. Didn't make it about him. It was strange. Seeing him try. I didn't trust it, not yet. But I didn't reject it either. Here's what I learned. What I want you to hear. Really hear. Your worth is not determined by who sees it. Not your family. Not your friends. Not anyone. Your worth is intrinsic, built by your actions. Your integrity, your quiet, relentless refusal to give up even when nobody's watching. The people who dismiss you, who undervalue you, who laugh when you're broken, they're telling you who they are. Believe them, and then build something so undeniable that their opinion becomes irrelevant. I didn't confront my family for revenge. I confronted them because I finally understood that being invisible was a choice I was making. By staying quiet, by accepting crumbs, by hoping they'd notice. The moment I stopped hoping and started moving, everything changed. You don't need anyone's permission to be extraordinary. You don't need their approval, their celebration, their validation. You just need your own conviction and the courage to walk away from people who can't see you, even when they're looking right at you. That laptop cost me $800. The contract inside was worth $2.3 million. But the lesson was priceless. Know your worth. Protect your peace. And never, ever let anyone make you small just because they're too limited to see how big you really are. If this story resonated with you, drop a comment below. Tell me about a time you chose yourself. And if you're still waiting for permission to be seen, let this be your sign. You don't need it. You never did. Subscribe if you want more stories about finding your power in the quiet moments. I'll be here. And I see you. Every single one of you.